I'm giving a chicken coop tour today for those of you wanting ideas to set up your own. And I did not clean, so you can kind of see your reality. Start on the outside here. I hung up that sheet because we had some really hot weather. We had a big heat wave this year, and so I put that up just to give more shade, because in the afternoon they do give full sun. And you can see there's corrugated metal around the bottom. There's some around the back too, and that is just to help keep water and snow out in the seasons where we have a lot of precipitation, and keep dust in the dry months. I did have a board up on the front too when it was really raining. And you can see there's fence around the outside so they can come out of this run. I call this the aviary. So we built it super heavy duty, with totally enclosed with hardware cloth so that it could keep predators out, and the chickens could safely be in there even in the night. My goal was to have a coop, let's see if we can make it so you can see better. Have a coop where I didn't have to wake up early in the morning to let them out, or if I wanted to leave for a few days, they would be fine. And guess what? I have gone on vacation for 3 days and left them closed up in here, and they've been perfectly fine. So I do have a fenced area outside so they can free range a bit on days I'm here to let them out. If not, come on in. Here's these little hooks we use to put this gate. Oop. Try to get it in focus, but you can kind of see. You can use just any sort of thing. We put 3 on to unhook our wire. Really simple, affordable fence gate. We have a hook here. Because of raccoons, I lock this every night because their little hands can open these hooks. I had a friend who had a chicken coop who locked herself in and nobody was home, so we put this on there so we can open up the lock from the inside, and I have definitely shut myself in here, so it's nice to have that. But see, we did the hardware cloth even up on the ceiling. Can you see it there? So we did the hardware cloth first, and then we put down the corrugated metal roof. And I think we made it tall so we wouldn't be hitting our head on any of the beams. But I do feel like it is a bit tall because a lot of rain and snow can get in the winter fall months. So we have, I think it's 6 feet in the back, and now I forget what we did. It's over 8 feet in the front, maybe 9. We had some big old beams left over from somebody took out a porch. That is kind of our foundation. So we have these big beams that are our foundation, and then we just built everything else on top of it with 2x4s. We got a little coop from Tractor Supply that they sleep in. So the funny thing is, I have 5 chickens, and I'll show you inside. They don't roost. They all sleep on the ground, and I don't know if that's just because my chickens are weird, or maybe this coop is a bit small. It was rated for 6 chickens. I feel like it is definitely small for 6 chickens. So I think err on the bigger side, and then maybe you might just have weird chickens that don't like to roost too. I don't know. For their food, I got a nice big can here, so I usually just put a bit in every day. Like, I'll fill it just barely to there, but then when I go away on a trip, I'll fill it up to here, and that lasts a couple days, which is really nice. And then their water is massive. Because I only have 5 chickens, I think this is a 3-gallon one, I never fill it up because I don't want the water, you know, like when you're drinking from an old water bottle, it kind of gets yucky. So I like to be putting fresh water in often, so I only put in like a gallon at a time when I'm here. So I'm usually putting water in every day or two when I'm around, but I can fill it up a little bit more and leave it when I go. So this area is 7 by 14 inside here, so that is plenty big enough for them to roam around for a couple days locked in. Or, you know, if you read all the specification, it's technically big enough to just leave them in here always, but I love to have them out in the yard eating bugs and fertilizing a little bit. Okay, here's one of the yucky things about having a chicken coop. You will get flies, and so I have fly paper, and this has a fly attractant in it, this like gross liquid in the bottom, but it's also full of a lot of flies. There's just some of your reality you get with a chicken coop, and it's working well. I might, when I'm done with that can, just get rid of the fly attractant and try just having the fly paper and see how it works. It seemed to take several weeks to really start working. I think there needed to get some flies caught on them to attract other flies. Flies, I think, are attracted to other flies. So it was slow going, and now it seems to work really well. On the floor, we did just have grass at first, but they eat up the grass really quick, and then we had dirt and it started getting really stinky, and wood chips helped a lot. It still will smell a bit, but wood chips are very helpful, especially in the wet months, to keep the smell down. And then it's nice to add new wood chips like twice a year, and then clean them all out once a year, I would say, or you could do more. The wood chips we got are just free from the city. Goes around mulching, and then they have a pile that we can take, so you can look into seeing if your city does that. If not, purchase wood chips. Cedar is an irritant to chickens. They could be okay, but they could have a problem, so avoid cedar. So if you're buying, don't buy cedar chips, or if you're getting the free stuff, kind of examine it and make sure it's not just full of a bunch of cedar. I think there has been some cedar in with the stuff we've got in the past, and my chickens have been fine, but it was just like a little bit mixed in. It wasn't full cedar mulch. But yeah, for out in the yard, we just put these green stakes and a roll of fence. Oh, I do want to say, for this whole setup, I think it cost, I want to say $1,200, right around $1,200. $1,200 is what our final count was. I did put up this plastic on the tall side, and I have more to go over on that side. I used snap, so it just snaps on and off, but you could just like hammer it in some way, whatever way you like it, because we're getting all the rain and snow in on the wind. It's really windy and rainy here in the winter, so that was to help keep it dry for them and to help keep the smell down. They like to take a dust bath under this tree. It's really dusty. The lighting's not super great for you to see, but it's all dusty under there, so they usually take their bath there. And I will every once in a while come out and sprinkle wood ash from our fireplace a little bit and diatomaceous earth to help control mites. And then when I was keeping them just inside here before we set up our fence for them to free range, I had, let's go over here. I had this, there's still some sand and stuff in here. I had just this shallow, wide tote, plastic tote, that I put in their aviary full of dirt and a bit of sand and wood ash and diatomaceous earth for them to take a bath inside the aviary. This thing, if you're catching glimpses of it and wondering, this was the little run that was supposed to go with that coop I bought. So this tiny thing was supposed to be big enough for 6 chickens. I'm hoping they're meaning 6 chickens that get let out into the yard all the time, because it seems so small. And I think that's all I have. Oh, I do have one more thing. So for the yard, we do have a lot of hawks and owls, although they're usually inside at night when the owls come out. But for the daytime, we do have some trees for their protection, but we also put out this little thing and a dog house that actually the dog never used, but so the chickens use it. Just some extra shelter for them in case there's predators coming down from above. And we haven't had any problems yet. I think the only time we had any problems, we had quail out in our yard one time, and a huge red hawk like swooped down, and luckily we had this net over PVC like hoop cage, and the hawk just ran into this net and didn't get the quail. And since then we've switched to chickens and haven't seen any hawks. So there we go. I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration and a realistic look at how you could have a pretty low maintenance chicken coop and just have a realistic budget. You do need a nice big budget. There's cheaper ways to do it, but to make it just really nice and secure and easy to move around in and hang out with your chickens, that was some of my goals. I wanted to just be able to go in there and clean really easily, because if it's hard to clean, you might not do it. But like I said, we could have made it a little shorter. Alright, have a good one. All the way on the bottom here, we do have a skirt of the wire mesh. The ground was too hard to dig through because there was an old driveway here, it seemed, once we started digging. So the mesh actually just goes out 4 feet rather than going down. You could also just put a fence going down instead of putting it out and putting dirt and things on top of it. But this seemed like a better option for an area that's hard to dig. And I should mention, if I didn't say it already, I always leave this door open right here so they can get in and out, and I don't have to wake up in the morning and let them out. I like to sleep in. And then when I do wake up, I come and I open this door so they can get out into the yard. For the cold months, I do close up this side door at night. It is nice to have that just so they can stay out of the wind. And we use combination, we kind of rotate. It goes a lot by what's on sale, but wood chips or these wood pellets and a bit of straw is what we use inside the coop. This one's neat because it has a slide out tray that you could pull out to clean, but I just use a dustpan and scoop things into a bucket and then dump it in my compost pile, so I don't actually use the slide out tray. It will be nice for doing a whole deep clean. And then this model in particular, with the blowing wind and rain, I did add a strip of plastic here because rain was getting into the cracks. The tray, it's not connected here to here because of the tray situation, so I added a bit there, and it was getting their bedding wet, so I did not want that to happen. And it already came with a bit of plastic going across here to make sure water stayed out there, so that's what gave me the idea. So some thoughts on if you get a coop and you're having trouble keeping the bedding dry, some things to consider. You could just attach something on the outside to keep the water out. A good resource is actually a lot of their food bags come in this plastic material, so you could just cut a piece of the bag and staple it if you don't have any plastic laying around. Alright,